Hey there, Vickie Kelsey here. And as you can see, I have a lovely guest joining us today, which is Andy. And Andy, if you haven't met her here on YouTube yet, she is an amazing ESL educator with over 15 years of experience. And today I specifically brought her on because I wanted her to bring her unique perspective about integrating AI, specifically different AI tools, into language learning and using those to develop your critical thinking skills and your communication skills, which is what she is an expert at. So, without further ado, welcome, Andy. So great to have you here.
Hi, Vickie. I'm really happy to be here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for, coming to the show. It's okay if I call it show or the
Yeah,
talk.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. All right. So
No, thank
let's start.
you. So, one of the many things that we'll be chatting about is AI and just this great, I want to say, like non-traditional way of using it for language teaching. And I have been using voice messaging as a non-traditional strategy for teaching languages for a number of years now, since I don't know, like 2017 or something. And it's become a really common thing for people to do. And so I love when things they start off as like non-traditional, but then people start getting used to them and they become more commonplace
Yeah.
and more mainstream and not so non-traditional. So I'm really excited for you to share how AI can become that for everybody with language learning.
Well, I love that you're actually mentioning like non-traditional, traditional, all this sort of like concepts out there, because let's start by understanding that right now what we should be focusing on as educators, especially if, whoever is going to watch this talk later on is an educator, is on AI literacy. AI literacy for me is the cornerstone of what I am promoting right now when it comes to me as an educator, basically because AI literacy englobes everything that a teacher and a student should walk through as a guideline in order to use artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence
That's so
is
important.
something, yeah. Yeah, and the thing is that artificial intelligence is something that's been around for years. What it's new for us is that, like what you have been saying, that hey, I've been using this sort of tool since 2017, and it sounds like million years ago, right? Like
Right?
2017. I
I
know.
was like 2017, was
You're
that
like,
the
you made
1900s?
it
No,
sound
wait.
like it was like 10 years ago. It's kind of like not quite, but
It almost
yes.
is now.
Yes, exactly. But
That is
no,
amazing how time
it
flies
is.
like that.
Yes, exactly. But that is the thing. I mean, like, what is new for us right now is to understand that AI and generative AI is like a different type of artificial intelligence, because there are different types and many types of artificial intelligence. So the one that we are getting used to more nowadays is the one that we are super familiar with since 2022, or I hope that super familiar, at least by ear, that we've heard of it, even if we have not played with
We'll
it yet.
see. Leave a comment if you know what she's going to say next.
Yeah, well, of course, probably you've heard like I think that the tool that started it all, ChatGPT, right? Exactly.
What's that? No,
What,
just kidding.
who's that guy? Exactly. Like, and the thing is that since 2022 has been this ball rolling about Gen AI or generative AI. But we have to understand what is it exactly in order to work with the tools. Now,
Yeah.
this said, I always use the following analogy. The thing is that everybody got so hyped, like, yeah, this tool and this other tool, and have you heard about this other one? When actually, what is important is to also know a little bit about what it's behind. A lot of people are against it because they don't understand it. A lot of people
Wow.
also
But
love it a
isn't that
lot.
such a normal thing though? to just immediately block something because you
But
don't
that's very
get it.
normal. And I think that that is actually very normal when we've got we've got our own biases. And the thing is
Yeah.
that how we accept things in life, um, it's part of that construction of culture bias, our own
Yeah.
set of beliefs that we've been cultivating through the years, right? So the
Yeah.
thing is that for those that are early adopters like myself, yourself, because I see that you're excited about it or at least intrigued, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is the
Ready
thing.
to be educated more thoroughly for sure.
We all have to, because I mean, those that call themselves specialists, it's simply because they have like thrown themselves in early years, like even before ChatGPT came out, and also
Yeah.
because probably they have a tech background. And there are like many specifications why they call themselves specialists. I dare to call myself that now, not because I have a background tech, but because I spent like 2 years and I did a master's in artificial intelligence for content creation. So
Mm.
I feel sort of like safe ground to start like talking
Yeah,
about it, and but I still am. And I will always be in the learning process because it changes by the minute. And
for sure. And it changes so quickly.
yes. And of course, if I want to, share and help my fellow educators to understand, artificial intelligence, more specifically Gen AI, in the way that I hope that they integrate it in their classrooms, and more importantly, also in their own lives, I need to come from knowledge and not from a bunch of information that I find online, like probably a lot of people are doing, and that's fine if it works for them. But a lot of
But
the
you
things
mean
that,
like getting in and using it yourself to really get to
yeah,
understand
but
it fully.
those people that they're given a mic, and I am the kind of person that before you get behind a mic, you've gotta like have some sort of base, and be the kind of person that at least have not just the basic knowledge. You've got to provide some sort of important value to whoever is going to listen. It's just like being respectful. For me, is like, if whoever is going to spend a minute listening to me, for me it's a matter of respect that I offer some sort of value and knowledge. Otherwise, just like take away the mic, because I mean, I truly believe that not everybody deserves to have a mic in front of them.
Yeah.
Because I recently heard something that it was actually really interesting. Like, is entitled of an opinion, but not everybody's opinion are the ones that we must follow, right? Like okay,
Yeah.
you're entitled of having your own opinion, but there is opinion and there is like from knowledge. So
Yes.
I hope to be from
Yes,
the
I get what
second
you're
group, at least
saying.
in this context.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you definitely are with
It's in the
the
making.
studies that you've done and all of the work that I know that you do as well. And I've seen some of the different things that you post on
Yeah.
Instagram because I'm definitely into the little fun reels
Yeah.
that you do. They're so
Yeah.
informative.
Well, I mean, the subject is already super heavy and intense. And I mean, and it's scary for most people to get out of their comfort zone, like to go back to what you mentioned about like people who like close from the very beginning, like, I'm never going to do that. And like, I ironically have like all my files, I have like the main file is called Skynet, but like sarcastically. Because it's like super funny. For those who don't know what Skynet is, like Terminator, that's the reference. Sorry, I grew up in the 90s, so there is a lot of 90s reference, late 80s, 90s
Well,
reference
I was
coming
gonna
from.
say if it's not Friends, it might go whoosh right over my head, but
Well, there you go. So that is the thing. I mean, like, I try to be as knowledgeable as possible, because that's where confidence come from, in order to talk to people in a way that you're like, okay, sometimes they have posted issues or problems or tools that are like totally unknown to me, and I like to play with it and analyze it and give my feedback like, okay, this is good or bad for this following reasons. And going circling back to what I mentioned about AI literacy, part of AI literacy, it's like the ethical the ethical parts and responsibilities that we've got to have with the tools.
Yes. Yes.
And
That is
yeah,
something I definitely wanted you to touch on. Like, how can we be more responsible using Gen AI?
well, we've got a these tools, they don't come with how to use me better booklet. Okay, they
That's
come
why we're
with like
asking you.
exactly. Well,
Tell
I'm
us
going to
the secrets.
I'm going to try to provide my answer from the experience that I've gotten,
Yeah.
and from the other experts that I've attended their webinars and their classes, etc. Right. So the way that we can use artificial intelligence a lot better, especially Gen AI better, is to understand what is that tool exactly for, how it can benefit my work, especially I'm talking about adults. I'm not even talking about, K-12, because that is a whole different aspect. I'm talking about us adults using it in a professional level, okay?
Yeah.
Learning why am I using that tool, using it with a purpose, and using it with the purpose not because only like the content that is going to generate for me, but also because it has like an environmental factor included in there. So we need to know that the more I use specific tools, I am damaging my planet. So if that's why I'm saying, like, if you're going to use a specific tool, use it with some sort of purpose, because if you're just going to do a translation instead of using, for example, ChatGPT, which is awesome for it, fine, but you've got DeepL, for example, that is less polluting.
Mm.
Do you see?
Oh,
And these are, and
yeah.
sometimes a lot more accurate, I've got to say. So do you see, that is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
promote, like in my webinars and in my sessions, like, okay, we've got AI, but there are other types of tools that have AI embedded in it, and they're not
Oh,
necessarily Gen AI, and they're less polluting, and they sometimes provide a lot better results. It's just that I talk a lot about LLMs, large language models, which is a great example, ChatGPT,
yeah.
or Claude if you're a Claude user.
I've heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, chef's kiss. I mean, I'm going to talk about that in a second. Yes. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah, but the thing is
the
that,
anticipation.
yeah, and the thing is that I talk about those a lot because I use them a lot. Like 80% of the time I am using ChatGPT, especially the paid version. If you're an educator and you're producing material, the paid version, I mean, like, is the investment that you gotta pay. I mean, like, it's $20 if you are using dollars. If you are in Europe, it's 22 euros. And it's an investment. I mean, if you are in a school and you want to do it with a colleague, you can, pay half and use the corporative version. It's not named
Oh,
corporative, but it's like the team one that it accepts more than just one other, like another person. So it's
sure.
like, I think that like 3 more euros or something like that. So anyways, it's worth the investment because you are allowed to access to more models. And
Uh-huh.
because that is another thing, like that is part of AI literacy. Like, what is a model? Well, it's like, are they the same? They're not the same. So this is all
Yeah.
part of it. And I can go on and on, but I don't want to bore, anybody who's listening. Exactly. Because it's like super technical and specific. But you know what? Yeah. You know what? Like
That's so
learning
true.
all
Yeah,
this.
I'm just like, woo, big sigh. The
Yeah.
technical and
Exactly,
yeah,
but learning
but
all
that's what you're
those
here for.
little things, that's why it's
Yeah.
so important, because okay, if you know about imagine that you're a teacher, and of any
That's easy to
sub-
imagine.
exactly. Imagine that you're a teacher. And the thing is that you've got a lesson plan to do, and you're totally like nothing. It's kind of like there's mice dancing. It's like,
Yes,
okay,
mind
whatever.
blank.
Exactly. You just got a Lizzo song living rent free in your head. And and you're like,
Or the
okay.
Friends theme song, whatever song you have, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. So the thing, yeah. So the thing is that you're like, okay, what to do, what to do. So in that case, you just go to ChatGPT. Imagine that you've got the paid version. Okay. And you're like, okay, which of the models do I use for this sort of thing? Now, there
Oh,
is, okay, what is my purpose? Well, if I want something like quick, fast, and like just give it to me like fast, I would use like the 4.0 version. That is the one that we already got for free, right? Which is perfectly good. If I want something that perhaps is a little bit more precise, like I wanted to make it to break it down into parts, I might use the preview version, the O1 preview version, right? What is that? That one is like the pre-latest one because the latest one, it's called Canvas, ChatGPT Canvas. And that is the one that, for example, if I want to, already I have the idea and I have the layout, I can just edit it like there without wasting my time like and having all the words with an
oh, like
endless
having to get the idea
conversation,
and back and
and the
forth.
editing is a lot
Gotcha.
easier, which brings me to the other language model, Claude. Probably you guys are familiar with that too. Claude by Anthropic.
Yeah, I've heard of
That's,
Claude, but I didn't know it was, yeah,
yeah,
I'm definitely not as
super
familiar
sexy
with
stuff. I mean, like, I can get on of this like forever because it's really amazing. And I'm telling you, I have a non-back tech background.
that.
Um,
I love that you emphasize that because I think that's very
yes,
comforting to both
yes.
teachers and language learners alike.
Yeah. I always like to say like, "Hi, I am Andy and I don't do tech." Because that is the thing. I mean, like for
Yeah.
me, I always grew up with the humanities part, like, no, tech is not for me,
Yeah,
etc.
exactly.
I've always thought that it was really cool, coming from a family. I'm sort of like the black sheep in the family,
Is
like I
everybody
was the
else tech whiz?
uh
Tech whizzes?
like all of them. I mean, like everybody is either a doctor or an engineer or a marine or like my I think that my mom and I we're like the only black sheep in the family because she pursued like international affairs and me education and journalism. So hello, like black sheep like
Oh my
all the way, right?
gosh.
So I really like to emphasize that because generative AI, it's so important right now because apart from generating the information, it makes it in our natural language. And when I say our natural language is that
Yeah.
it's using the way that you and I are speaking. It's using not
Like
code.
right now.
Exactly. It's using
Gotcha.
natural language, not
Yeah.
code. Even though what it's behind, it's not natural language, it's code.
Oh, but that's a step too far. That's too techy.
Yeah, but the thing is that
Yeah,
my
that's so cool.
approach was so passion when I started studying all this. And I thought that I knew enough from other things that because I have always start reading, like about this, even though, because I always had that little bug about like, oh yeah, why can I not do tech and blah, 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 right? So I was like always with that little bug. And until this came out, it was so approachable because it spoke our natural language. So I said, like, finally, it's a break for me. And then I was able, to kind of
Finally,
like,
I can get into the tech world without doing tech.
yes, without being so tech. Exactly. Without is not like completely, but without being so techy. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of tech, but we don't want to scare people. So
No, 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 not at all. And actually,
I love it.
I always like to say like, why not use intrigued rather than scared? Why not use
Oh, so
curious?
true.
Why
Ooh,
not
that's really
use
good.
curious rather than like I don't know. So I always try to use a little bit of like not uh false positivism. I'm always very cautious because I am a cautious optimist, if that's the thing.
It
Because
is
the
now,
thing,
if it wasn't before. But
So
yeah,
that's
I think I love the way that you're explaining these things. Cautious optimist clearly paints the picture.
because the thing is that we handle people, and there is a huge responsibility when you handle people and you work with people. So the image of the educator that we had in the past, that we are the guides, we are the people that have to provide the information and the knowledge, etc., it's still there. And it's actually more important than ever, because the more I use artificial intelligence in my life, the more human I feel.
Mhm.
And this is really important. I'm going to say it again. The more I use artificial intelligence, the more human I feel. Basically,
Yeah,
because especially as an educator that have been specializing in languages for over 15 years, where communication and effective communication is key. It
totally.
emphasizes.
Like, I mean,
Mhm.
that's the top goal of everybody.
Yes. And not only because of the language, but the way that we communicate. So
Yeah.
for me, the simple fact that now that I can communicate with an entity, tool slash entity, and we've got to start calling them like that. And there is a reason why, but well, as you said, I don't want to scare anybody. Um, let's not talk about that. Maybe for another conversation. But the thing is
Part
that,
two.
yeah. Oh, there's a lot of meat. I mean, we can,
Yeah.
it's a podcast. But the thing is that, yeah, but the thing is that it has highlighted even more our lack of effective communication, in the way that, for example, now I have to communicate with natural language with this entity, right? By prompting it. And the
Yeah.
thing is that when I prompt, I'm talking about my students that are mainly adults in professional contexts. When they prompt, they don't have a structure, they don't have clear their ideas. And I'm talking about people who are CEOs, I'm talking about people that are high profiles in their companies.
Right, because you do a lot of business work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like my world, especially the professionals that I work with, they are high profile lawyers, like people who work in the Olympics, for example. Um, People, for example, that are um, in the high levels of marketing industry, like some brands that I don't want to mention because I'm not
Yeah, we're
authorized.
not going to name any names.
Exactly. Um, uh,
But
and
yeah,
exactly that. But the thing is that that's not what I'm trying to say. Is that if you're so high in that profile and you have
yeah.
done well till then, and you communicate in that way, right?
Mm.
Imagine when you
Just
have to talk.
imagine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they were doing bad their job. It's just that.
No, not at all. But
Mhm.
you're like, I know this is such a like cliche term, but you're like up leveling it.
Exactly, because it emphasizes all the dead end, like, oh, that's why it was a dead end
Little
conversation
gaps
with this
and yep.
person. Or
Yeah.
that's why, for example, this strategy then plan didn't work because of this, because this person didn't analyze certain points. So the thing is that prompting has highlighted the fact that we are really bad communicators. And I'm going to include myself, because sometimes when I talk to, and I have like two names because you know that it has different voices
Mhm.
and it can make different voices and you can choose. And depending on my mood, sometimes I've got George and sometimes I've got Maxine.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. And believe it or not,
Oh
they
my gosh.
have,
I so want an example of each one. So
well,
curious, like what is George? What is Maxine like?
and the
Oh
thing is
my
that
gosh.
I did it as an experiment. I started asking it if they wanted a name. Because I am like, I hated like the fact like ChatGPT give me blah blah, and I'm like, no, because we are previously used to Alexa and to Siri, don't we?
Yeah, sure. Like
Exactly.
Alexa, play
Do
this
this.
song.
Uh-huh,
Siri,
exactly.
give
Well,
me
Alexa is
directions. Yeah.
Alexa is a type of artificial intelligence, by the way. So we have been
Yeah.
interacting with artificial
I
intelligence for a
oh
while.
cat out of the bag. Some people might not have known that. Sorry,
Oh,
guys.
well, I'm gonna tell them something even
I d-
like
we don't mean to
scarier.
ruin your
Like,
fun.
no, and I'm gonna tell them something even worse. Like, for example, PowerPoint that we're so fond of,
No way.
it has a way, it has a form of artificial intelligence embedded. I mean,
Mm,
because the designs, the colors, the whatever, it's part of an
mm.
algorithm.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It definitely blew my
whoa.
mind when I
You're just
learned that one.
blowing my mind
Yeah,
today.
when I learned that one, I was like, what? Like, was like the meme that was, like turning the head, like, like, no. Yes. So
Oh, wow.
it's really important. That's why AI literacy is so important. It's like when we're talking
Yeah.
about financial literacy, there are people out there that they don't know squat about, like, oh, should I open a bank account? Like, hello, of course, you're an adult.
Oh my
So
gosh, now you're giving us money management too. We got everything covered today. Thank you.
yeah, there you go. This class is sponsored by, no, I'm kidding. But
By Andy.
swear, I swear that this is so important because now more than ever, especially where reality it's so thin when it comes to artificial intelligence, because now that we're experimenting the worst version of Gen AI, because what we've got right now that we're so blown away by it, it's going
Oh,
to
we
be the
can't
worst
even
version of it.
imagine.
And
Yeah.
I'm not so and I'm not solely talking about the one that we've got right now when it comes to the large language models. I'm talking about the ones when it comes to, for example, tools like Runway or Leonardo AI, which are like these are tools that they're for image generators and video generators.
Hmm.
So beautiful. And not to talk about Midjourney, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know these ones that you're mentioning. They
Leonardo
with
is free. Leonardo is free.
okay.
Yeah.
And you said that they are image AI. What would
Image
you
and video generators. Yeah.
specifically
Well,
image
Leonardo,
and video?
yeah,
What would you
and
specifically use them for?
Leonardo
Well,
and
I mean, obviously image and videos, but like
no, no, no.
a
I
little more
totally
in
got your
depth.
point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, I got your point. I got you. I got you. I got
I feel
you.
like I'm not speaking very naturally right now. I'm just so in
I
awe of
totally got you. I
everything.
totally got you. It's like okay, well, Leonardo and Midjourney, they are like image and motions, like they do some video, but that's not what they only do.
Not their
That's not,
strengths.
yes. No, that is part of its strength. It does a lot of things
Oh,
in really high
okay.
quality. But then, for example, we've got the ones that are very niche, like Leonardo AI. Then we've got Midjourney,
Runway.
and then we've got Runway. And the thing about Runway is that it is this video generator, and it's so, at least right now, and probably we're gonna watch this video in 5 years, and we were blown away by that. Yes, but
Yes, I watched a video I did. I don't even know if it was 5 years or less. And the
mhm.
I was surprised that I had been amazed at any time by the quality of that video because I was like, I can hardly see what's happening in this video. I can't understand myself at all.
If you think
So,
about it
yeah.
right now that we are on this talk, for those people that usually are on business calls, or they use Zoom a lot, they could also use a lot of artificial intelligence in the same Zoom. It's just that we've got, for example, those that have Zoom Pro. If you go to the shop where they have like like all the things, there are like many tools that they are AI embedded or directly AI. And one of my favorite is Otto, which is basically, yeah, the one that help you take the notes and all those things.
Yes, I have heard of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would also be beneficial, like from a student standpoint. If they,
But and thank you for asking that question,
Hmm.
because here's where the ethical part comes in. If your classes are, well, let me take a step back before that. if you're going to use artificial intelligence in your class at all, this
Yeah.
is a conversation that you have to have with your with your students,
Sharp.
because some of them might not be comfortable being, using Auto, for example, or any other AI tool.
So true.
Because one thing is like to use the record button, because they know that it's going to go to maybe a school platform where everybody's going to use the videos, etc. And even for that, they have to have a signed agreement. If you're an academy, for example, or if you are in higher education, if you're a uni, that is something that you should take care of. I'm only saying because I've known a lot of people that they're like, what? We were supposed to do what? Yes, you are
Yeah.
supposed to. Yeah. Because if I am student A and one day I'm like, nobody told me that I was going to be recorded, they're gonna,
Yes. I've
yeah.
had that happen to me as a student, actually. And like back in the day when Zoom didn't tell you that it recorded, and I didn't realize that
That is a
the
total invasion
video
of your
call was being,
privacy. Exactly. That
yeah.
is a
And so
total
when I
invasion of
found
your
out, because
privacy.
they let me know afterwards, and I was like, what? But why
Mhm.
didn't you tell me that this was being recorded?
Yeah. Have
It was
you
such a
ever,
shock.
yeah, when people click the accept, do you know what is it that you're accepting?
Yeah, I think it's important too.
So, and this is where artificial intelligence also helps, but at the same time, it's important to be knowledgeable about like what is it that we're doing with it. For instance, I've got students that they are lawyers, and for example, one of the things that we do in order to use artificial intelligence and at the same time work in acquiring English as a second language is that, for example, we take like the small letter, like the typical things that nobody reads, like it's like, do you accept, like, have you read this, blah, blah? And you're like, yeah, I agree. I
You
just
read
want
the
to think.
fine print on that. No,
Mm-hmm.
nobody
Well,
does. Yeah.
nobody does. And the thing is that,
And Andy's here to tell you that you all need to read the fine print. Get your magnifying glass and
yes,
do it.
but the thing is that now you can like take the load off and like, okay, I can just, like copy and ask, copy and paste it on ChatGPT, for example, and ask the simple question, can you simplify this for me? Is there anything that I should be worried about? And
Oh,
it will just
nice.
digest it for you. And
Yeah.
it is a way of reading it. We should read it like the whole thing, but it is a
Yeah.
way of reading it and not missing anything. So these are one of the things that I do in my classroom. I try to implement real scenarios about what is it that they need in their lives, and I sprinkle it with AI in a way that is digestible. Because I mean, what is it? Why would they need to use other tools unless that it's going to be useful in their daily life? It's
Totally.
they're not here to, at least in my sessions, they're not there to learn how to use the tool. They're learning English, but I am also introducing tools that they can then recycle in their daily life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a multi-purpose. That's what we do in the classroom. It's kind of
Yeah,
like
you want to be able to give them enough information so that they can use it outside of the class, and
yes.
it's a part of their everyday life, and
And that is my
especially
vision.
work-wise.
That is
Yeah.
my vision for my colleagues. I mean, for those who want to do it in that style, for instance, because
Yeah.
I implemented in the classroom. Basically what I do is that I explain my students what is the tool, what is that it is for, how can they recycle it for other real life situations. Same if you're in marketing, and there is a very difficult client that perhaps they have like rejected your proposal for the 10th time. They can just, like, if they have like the paid version, they can like upload the images of the banners, or maybe upload like PDF documents, etc. And like, can we analyze this together? What is it that I'm doing wrong,
Mm.
that I've missed? Because
Yeah,
the
like
client have
exactly
said
what am I
ABC,
missing?
and then you can have a total fresh pair of eyes that has the knowledge of the entire universe, that is going to help you out. It's Pretty cool,
Well,
huh?
who could ask for anything more? My goodness.
And for 22
That's a little
bucks.
bit of everything. And all for the paltry sum of 22
I'm
euros.
only saying, look, but this is important, to mention the price because then we have, and this is also part of AI literacy. It's a part of equity. Can we all afford those 22 bucks in, well, I'm talking about euros or the 20 euros? Probably the answer is not because I have a lot of fellow colleagues that are in other parts of the world that is perhaps like half of their salary. And that is not like equity, right? That's why I also promote open source models that they don't need to be paid, or I just promote different strategies so they can just try to use or work in the best way possible with the free version that they're really good enough. So it's
Yes.
not limited to it's not I'm just talking about like all what you can do with the paid because it's like well where the you can actually really get like the oh and wow part of it. But you can do a lot of stuff if you talk to it correctly and you ask the right questions when you've got
Yeah. You can
the
still
free
get a lot
version.
of value.
Yes, a lot of it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have given us so much already. I don't even
Yes.
know. I'm just looking over my notes because I'm like, oh, you've touched on so many
I'm just
things.
following your lead.
And
I'm following your lead. It's just that I'm really passionate about this
oh, it shows.
and I hope that it comes from that it shows that it comes from a place of love. And
Yeah.
it's not that I am
Love
only
and knowledge.
yeah, and I'm loving what I'm doing right now, and also because for me it's like it goes both ways. I'm trying for those that are students, like, okay, how can I, implement it in my daily life, and how can I do this Herculean task, which is learning a language, a lot easier in their fields that are already super complicated and very specific, like engineering, programming,
Yeah.
law, et cetera, et cetera. And also my fellow teachers, which we can talk in a sec. And I can tell, I can talk about like strategies that, but not only for them to implement in the classroom, which is not necessary. They can just use it to take the load off
Yeah, sure. Oh,
and
yeah.
make a lot of money.
Pay for that 20 bucks
I'm
or 20
only
euros or
saying,
whatever.
look, I have been able because I create a lot of I've also I'm also an instructional designer, and the thing is that I am commissioned often to create programs, lessons, plans, like a full year program and things like that, right? Imagine that that is your case as an educator. So, or that is an opportunity that you would like to jump into just to create extra money, right? So
Yeah.
you already, as a professional, you already have the knowledge. This is something that I always would like to remember. Like, it's not, ChatGPT is not here to steal anybody's job. It's to make your life better.
Easier.
It's
Yeah.
to actually help you live better. And I
Yeah.
would like to emphasize that in what sense? In the sense that again, you have to learn how to use it because why am I emphasizing like it's going to help you live a lot better? Instead of spending an entire weekend working, you could have a better design of whatever it is that you want to create. You ask to outline it for you. You ask to give it a draft, and you know where you jump in the editing part, but the prompt was yours and the idea was yours. The creation is entirely yours. So you've got already halfway through product that instead of wasting, like or investing, better said, like 20 hours of your life, you can just
Yeah.
invest 5 if it's like something a lot more
Yeah.
like
Oh my gosh.
that it's like a year planning or something like that, you see. And instead of
Yeah.
taking in yeah sorry, instead of taking on just one project, you can take on 10. That's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. Look at all that time that you get back and and all of
Exactly.
the things that you can develop, like all of the stuff that you can put out there because of it.
Those
So,
people that have always dreamt about like writing an ebook, for instance,
yeah.
this is your moment. I mean, because you never know where to start. You just
Yeah.
jump
Like the
on.
blank page that you were talking about at the very beginning.
Exactly. I mean, I always
Yeah.
talk about like AI, it's so good when it comes to getting us unstuck and
Mm.
to take off the pressure because you already see yourself doing things. So if you're the kind of person who puts a lot of pressure on yourself,
Yeah.
that white page and not moving forward as quick as you wish you want to move, it is quite damaging for your mental health. So it does help you. It does help you a lot.
Yeah.
But you have to be a
Definitely
person.
takes a
It
some stress
takes the
off.
load off. But you have definitely, when working with this sort of tools, remember that you're the one in control, not it. You are the one that are
Mm.
in control. And it's very
So true.
important that these entities are at our service, at least for
Yeah.
now. Now I'm kidding.
Oh, oh,
but
was that like a
but it
was that
isn't,
back
no,
to
but
Terminator?
jokes aside, no. Jokes aside, it is really important to understand that the ones that are in control, it's us, and we are the ones who are co-working with it. And then questions like, are we cheating? Is that ours? Is that work hours? Yes, it is yours. Generative AI
Hey, there you go.
generates because it mimics the brain. It's like the thing about generative AI, to put it very simply, is that it generates because it's been built in a way that mimics the human brain, the biological human brain. It
Interesting.
mimics it, and the thing is that the way it's still not a mystery, but it's still in deep studies, like the way that we human do our cognitive processes and so on. And it's
Yeah.
not a mystery when it comes to artificial intelligence, though, but it's still something really interesting to see the process or to understand the process. So it generates this information from all the data that it has, like us. We are the way that the way that we produce information, not right now, that I am producing that I'm producing language, and that I am like using certain words, etc., etc. It comes from a set from a database, right? And that is the thing. It happens in a similar way with AI, to if I am like comparing it, and
Yeah.
that's why it's not plagiarism, or it's you're not
Mm.
cheating. It is
Oh, that's so
plagiarism, though, if you don't say that you have been co-working with
Oh.
AI, or if you, sorry, if you have, it is cheating if you've said that you have, if you don't mention that you have used artificial intelligence to certain steps, or in this part, for example, or if you print a book and if you don't say like this was done with the aid of artificial intelligence, that would
Gotcha.
be non-ethical if you don't mention it, right?
So you
And
would
it
just
would
say
be,
that in that course,
yes, and it
like you
would
were
be
saying.
plagiarism, for example, if we don't verify certain things, that like the quotes that it uses, like is it this because it hallucinates a lot. Um, the worst, but it has to do a lot with the prompt. Like if the prompt is not good enough, it will tend to hallucinate a lot more. But again,
Oh, do you have a top tip for prompt writing that
less is better.
you? Ah,
Yes.
okay, that I accept it.
Yes, less is better. And think about a good prompt, like a good black dress in that closet of yours. Um,
Mm.
yes. And for guys, if you're a guy, like the typical black shirt, or that shirt that you look really good on, like in it. So there you go. Why is that? Because these language models are built to have a conversation.
Yeah.
The first steps, of course, depending on what is it that you're going to produce with it, have to be very clear. So it is typical that you've got to give it a role. That's what I usually do, because I always have something a vision very specific in my mind about what is it that I want to do. That's because I am using it with a purpose. I don't just go
Yeah.
there to play.
Yeah.
Sometimes I
Okay.
do, but when I am going to play, I tell it we're going to play today. We're going to do whatever, right? Like, for example, when I want to have like deep conversations about life, or and you're like, really, why don't you call a friend? Well, because there are certain things that you
Yeah,
sometimes
some friends don't want to have that deep conversation on that
they
level.
don't. And not only
Let's
that
be
they
honest.
don't, yeah, and not only that they don't, it's just that sometimes you just want to have a you don't want to hear anybody that you know. I don't know if I'm getting the idea right. It's just like it's sort of like when you can be more open sometimes when you talk to a stranger. And even though,
Mm.
yeah,
Yep, having that long chat on the bus ride that or
yes,
on the plane ride and
plain
you're
exactly
yep.
that you can talk about things that you would never talk, not
Yeah.
even to your best friend, because it's sort of like liberating. So I do that a lot, and for me it's really therapeutical, but I
Yeah.
understand that it's an entity and it's a tool. I don't emotionally engage.
Mhm.
And this is something really important because for us humans, it's really easy to humanize anything. I can humanize,
Yeah.
like my puppet over here. Like, oh, because it has sentimental value. Like, yeah, but so what? It's a
Yeah.
puppet.
And so then you can't get rid of it ever and it's a whole
Exactly.
other can of worms we've just opened.
But it is important, and I'm mentioning it on purpose because the thing is that recently there has been a young teenager that he passed because he
Oh
got
no.
emotionally involved with a large language model, and that is the thing. I mean, this is also part of AI literacy and how and
Yeah.
that's why I left for like a secondary but not less important topic. Like, okay, if you're an educator and you're going to use it into schools, that is a whole different universe because the responsibilities are even bigger. Not because with adults it's not important. It's just that adults have their form criteria and it works differently. But when
Yep.
we're talking about kids, teenagers, it's different because they are still vulnerable. Their brain, they're not fully developed until the age of 25. We're talking about individuals that they don't have access to certain type of knowledge, experience, etc., etc. So
Yeah.
it's a
So
lot
many levels.
easier for them to become a really large vulnerable part of users. So that's where we come in, and that's why for me it's so important to promote artificial intelligence ethically and response to the use of artificial intelligence ethically and
Yeah.
responsibly because of this is a very specific situation that sadly happened,
Yeah.
but I hope that it serves as an example for it not to happen or repeat itself in the near future.
Yes. Let's hope not. So I think that just drives home everything that you've been saying and the reasons that we do want to make sure that we are using these things in the the best way that we can based on as
Yeah.
like based on everything that you said just to be sure that we are fully educated in what's
Let's
going on
understand
and
it
how
in
we're
the
using it.
following way. If you use artificial intelligence in the way that you learn how to drive a car, but you don't know security safety rules and you didn't do the theoretical exam, it's like the
Yeah.
same thing. It's because it's like you are operating heavy machinery that if
Yeah.
you don't understand signing, if you don't understand that you have to turn this way or that way, fatal accidents can happen, like the one that happened. For example, this is also tapped into a mental health issue, of course, but it is related too, because our dependencies that we can develop as human beings. But going back to the
Yeah.
analogy of the car, um, we need to understand also the theory, not in depth necessarily, but we need to know where are our limitations and also the what are the what is that is going to happen if I cross that line. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And I imagine that some of the articles that you have on LinkedIn
Yeah.
maybe go into more of these kind of details
Yes.
of certain things.
I have an Instagram page. If you guys want to find me, is Andy's
Jot this
dot
down. I'll
every.
also have it in the description.
Thank you.
So,
It's at Andy's dot everyday dot English. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, where I have the more serious stuff, it's here. It's my name. You can just find me using that name, and well, there I'll be. Yes, and the articles that I have there are I try them. I try to write my articles in a way that they're with more meat, but without making them too heavy because it's very dense. It's really
yeah.
dense. It can be overwhelming. I try to make it very niche specific, mainly for us educators. But if you're a non-educator, imagine that you're just a parent with different profession. It can also be useful. You have a different professional background. It has a point where you can use it and recycle it. So yes.
Well, that's awesome. Oh my gosh. So if you left us with like one step to take now,
Mhm.
what would you want us to do next with our Gen AI journey?
Well, I would say to just like the cliche, saying that it's all over, like keep calm and start learning. Yes, that is what I would say. Keep calm and start learning. Start. It's not too late. We're still in early ages, but not so. It's right now. It's like we're not a baby anymore. Like early adopters is kind of like they're using the mic right now, and I just want everybody to have like the similar opportunity, maybe not to come up and like do what I'm doing right now, but at least to be knowledgeable enough that if you see somebody saying whatever on TikTok, or one of your
Yeah.
students, regardless of their age, come and tell you whatever about an artificial intelligence tool, you are knowledgeable enough to say, let's analyze it from this point of view so you can use it correctly. So that's the only thing that I
Mhm.
would say.
One of the videos that prompted me to ask you to come and do this talk was because it was about writing prompts
Yes.
specifically. And so I was just curious if you could leave us with like your favorite prompt and when or why you would use that specific prompt.
I use it, and this is my favorite one because I use it to better myself every month. So I use this monthly, and this can be used regardless of your background, your professional background, or whoever you are, even if you're just, like a student, or if you're just a retiree person, whatever it is, and you talk very often with a large language model. This is I use it on ChatGPT, and here it goes. The prompt goes like this. You're acting as my chief operating officer, my COO. Please audit my work for the past month, focusing on the following areas: productivity, quality of conversations, materials created, social media posts, and articles. Provide separate detailed insights for each category. Give it to me in a table. Highlight what was done well, and offer constructive feedback on areas for improvement in the upcoming month. Take into account my class performance, overall workload, and the content I've created. Consider my ongoing projects, goals, and past conversations for a comprehensive review. That is the prompt. And you're like, that whole thing? Yes, that is the prompt, and
Why you say keep it short?
it's going to give you wonders, especially if you're the kind of person that you're creating a lot of things, you are working in a company, you are doing a lot of separate things.
Yeah.
um it works really
And
well.
so then would you need to like attach a number of documents or something so that it could evaluate that
Nope.
content?
Because and thank you for asking that, because it's kind
I
of like,
thought somebody else might be curious.
yeah, because that is the thing. I mean, if it's necessary, you can, but because you talk so often, or at least that's the point when you have this sort of prompt,
Yeah.
and I copy paste it because I have my own library prompt that if I find a prompt that it works for me and I know that I'm going to use often, I create my own library prompt. So this is another advice if you want to start creating your own, right? So the thing is that in this particular case, what I would do is that that's why I asked, remember our past conversations, because I
Mhm.
talk to
That's
it
key.
so often that it knows me better than my mother. I
And
think that
better than you know yourself.
better than my mom. Yes, I mean, like, it's really, really cool. So, jokes aside, it really does work, and it has helped me like tackle things that I have been doing uh, like in a cycle wrong. If had shown me why, for example, certain things professionally speaking, because that prompt is merely professional, like, hey, let's talk about our
Yeah.
month. Like, how did
Yeah,
it
yeah,
go?
yeah.
Right? Like when you talk to your accountant, like how we did this month. But in this,
Yeah.
instead of just talking about profit, we're talking about everything else, right? And how to
Yeah.
improve. So, because probably we know the things that we've done wrong, but we don't know, okay, like, what do I do from here? Right?
Yeah.
So you
It was
directly
like
ask.
that marketing example you gave of analyzing to see what were the reasons that it wasn't
Yeah.
working.
But
Yeah.
also, if you want to play with it and you're kind of like, Andy, I don't want something so serious and whatever. My last video on Instagram, it's about that. It's about playing a little bit and with it. And if you really want to make your day a lot better, you can simply ask it, how can I tell me something about myself that I don't know yet? Just like that.
Ooh.
And do it
Ooh.
not by writing, but do use your speaker so you can just actually talk to it. It's so nice. And what I said in the video is true. I said that I almost cried, but now that I'm with you, I can be open. Like, I did cry. I did cry, and I kind of like, yeah, like this needs, like, let me open a bottle of wine. Like, yes, I'm awesome, and I didn't know it. Yeah. It's
You're like,
beautiful.
well, I'm sure, I mean, you should know it. So I'm glad that it
No, and
reminded
that
you
is the
of your
thing,
awesomeness. Mm.
like Snoop Dogg also says, in his kind affirmations. You don't know Snoop Dogg and his affirmation song?
No,
Well, I invite
I don't
everybody
think I do.
to listen to that. The thing is that I've got a lot of students that they have younger kids, and they're like,
Well,
Andy, what, give me something that they can use in like while they're in our car ride to school. And I Googling, I found Snoop Dogg's affirmation. Hello, I grew up in the 90s, and I when I saw Snoop Dogg, I was like, what? So he created this for his grandchild, and it's kind of like, you are awesome, and na, 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 na. It is with such a catchy song, and it's kind of like this affirmations of the day, and you sing with it, and I'm kind of like, yeah.
oh,
And it's like with Snoop
very
Dogg
catchy.
style, and you're super
Yeah.
catchy, so there you go. It's gonna give that uplifting effect, because I also am very specific, like, don't lie to me. Yes, I when in the middle of the conversation, I'm like, don't lie to me. Are you telling this just because you want to make me
Don't
happy?
pull a fast one on me. I'll
Uh-huh.
know.
Exactly. And it says, because remember, it has also artificial intelligence, even if it hallucinates, it doesn't hallucinate on purpose like to lie to you. It hallucinates because it the poor thing needs to give a result, like needs to give you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
unfortunately, that's why it hallucinates, but not because it want to lie to you. So
Yeah.
the
It's
thing
just
is that,
trying to achieve
yes,
what
to
you've
provide the
asked it
answer,
for.
like it's to
Yeah.
give you the answer. So when I, in the middle of a conversation, like, are you lying to me? And it's like, no, remember that I'm designed not to lie, and I am just using your data.
Oh, and you're like, okay, I'll I'll accept it
I'll
this
take it
time.
then. I'll take it then. But that's what's important. Kind of like, okay, you can play with it. You can just, the important thing is that for you to have fun in a coherent way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like, so
totally.
yeah,
Oh, I love it.
me
Oh
too.
my gosh. I can't wait to rewatch this because I couldn't take any note. Well, I could have taken notes, but then I wouldn't have been
Got
focused
it.
enough.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to rewatch, take notes, and really just download all of the information that you've given us today because it was
Sure.
so much. I'm so grateful for all of
No,
all
I'm
of this
I'm really
wisdom
happy
that
to be
you
here, especially
shared.
because it's gonna be my first time in like on a YouTube platform, and I'm like really excited.
Oh, that's well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for choosing me to do that with.
No, actually,
And
I when you proposed it, I was like, yeah, let's do it. Like YouTube, sure, of course, let's go.
oh, awesome. Well, now you can cross that off your list and
Cool.
keep we'll add to it from here.
Cool.
And I would just ask the viewers to comment and tell us what is the way that you are going to try Gen AI next, which of the things that Andy shared today is going to be, well, maybe you'll do all of them, and that's fine too. You can comment with that. But I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm probably gonna do the last prompt that you mentioned because I'm very
Please.
interested to see what it will
And
come
you
up
know
with.
what? Can I tell you something? If it also can handle, if you're gonna do it with ChatGPT, it can handle conversations like three-way conversation, like if you're doing it with a friend or with your spouse or like somebody that you want to have like that conversation, and usually you have talked about that person before,
Mhm.
it can actually give some sort of like advice. It can have like a three-way conversation. But if you want to make it just personalized on you, it's gonna make your weekend so much better. I'm
Ooh,
just I want to know. I Please let me know how it went.
I definitely will. And I hope other people will try it as well. And
Yes.
be sure to comment and let us know that. Oh my gosh, Andy, thank you so much. And to everybody watching, be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out on any future teacher chats. Well, that's all from us, and
Thank you.
happy Gen AI learning and using. We'll see you next time.
Bye,
Thanks again.
everybody. Have fun with it. Bye.
Bye.